Welcome to Honeybee, real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. My name is Christian. Life has a strange way of forcing you to notice what you've been overlooking for far too long. At a party we both attended, my wife treated me as if I were invisible. She didn't talk to me, didn't look my way, didn't even acknowledge I was there. I tried starting conversations, but she completely shut me out. When it came time to dance, one of her friends walked over, took my hand, and said, "Come dance with me." That single moment set everything in motion. My wife's expression said it all. She hadn't expected what would follow. I first met Anna, the woman who later became my wife, back in graduate school. We were in different programs, but occasionally shared classes and mutual friends. From the start, she stood out. She was sharp, quick to respond, confident in conversations, never afraid to voice her thoughts. That presence made her hard to ignore. At the time, we weren't close. Our exchanges were light, class-related small talk, nothing personal or deep. We didn't spend time alone, and there was no real emotional connection. I saw her more as someone with a strong personality than as a potential partner. She was captivating, yes, and people were drawn to her, but our lives didn't overlap in any meaningful way while we were still students. It wasn't until after graduation that our paths truly crossed again. Though we worked in different fields, we reconnected at a mutual friends gathering. This time, our talks weren't just brief chatter. They became longer, more meaningful. We started meeting often, and the dynamic between us felt different. She was attentive, asked thoughtful questions, listened fully. For a while, it felt like things were falling into place. In the beginning, I truly believed we were a great fit. She had a way of making me feel like I was exactly where I was supposed to be, and I enjoyed that. I liked who we were in those early months. It gave me hope that I had found someone I could actually build a future with. Looking back now, I can see the red flags were already there, but I didn't recognize them at the time. Early on, everything felt exciting. She could be incredibly affectionate when she was in the right mood, and those moments kept me hooked. But those highs made it harder to see the deeper issues taking root. I started noticing that Anna had an unshakable need to always be right, not in a playful sense, but in a serious, rigid way. If we disagreed, even about something small, she would shut down entirely if I didn't agree with her. She wouldn't argue or try to understand my side. She would just withdraw into silence, sometimes for hours, sometimes for days. I remember one weekend we had planned a short trip to relax together. I got caught up at work and didn't reply to one of her texts quickly enough. That alone was enough for her to cancel the entire trip. She didn't ask what happened or care about an explanation. She just shut everything down and ignored me as though I'd gravely offended her. That pattern never stopped. When conflicts arose, she wouldn't just give me the silent treatment. She would also pull away from me physically and emotionally. Intimacy became something she controlled, given when I pleased her, withheld when I didn't. It made me feel like I was constantly being punished for having my own thoughts. I tried apologizing, explaining, asking to talk, doing whatever I could to repair things, but it was always one-sided. I was the one reaching out while she simply waited to be appeased. Still, I stayed. Why? Because when things were good, she made me feel like I was everything she ever wanted. She would go out of her way to make me feel valued. That back and forth confused me. I clung to those moments, thinking they proved her love, when really they only surfaced when she got her way. If I hesitated or said no, the warmth vanished instantly. The more it happened, the smaller I felt in the relationship. I convinced myself that if I just said less or tried harder, things would stay peaceful. When Anna and I got married, I hoped it would stabilize things, maybe soften our rough edges. But I was wrong. The very issues I had ignored only grew worse after marriage. Even then, I kept trying. I gave her space when she was upset, tried to meet her halfway, tried to communicate. But as years passed, our disagreements turned into demands. She didn't just want things her way. She expected it, no questions asked. If she wanted something, especially costly or unnecessary, she would push until I gave in. And if I didn't, she punished me with coldness. I worked long hours, carried most of the financial burden. Yet she wanted full control over how money was spent. She made big decisions without asking me. And if I questioned her, she accused me of being controlling or unsupportive. Intimacy between us dwindled until eventually I stopped trying altogether. The constant rejection was too much. We stopped spending meaningful time together. At first it was unintentional, but eventually we lived like strangers sharing the same roof. If we had to attend an event, we went together. But outside of that, I avoided being seen with her. I couldn't stand the fake smiles, the cold silences, the tension that followed us everywhere. At home, we were just two people existing in the same space, detached, weary, and pretending. One day, a close friend of mine pulled me aside and said, "Christian, your wife is emotionally manipulating you." He noticed it after only a short time around us. He told me because he was tired of watching me disappear into myself. I didn't respond at first, just stared out the window. But deep down, I already knew. I had known for a long time. Still, knowing something and acting on it are not the same. I felt trapped, not because I want to stay, but because I fear how it would look if I left. I worried about what my family would think, what people would say. Everyone tells you marriage is hard, but no one tells you what to do when hard turns into harmful. Would they say I didn't try hard enough? That I failed as a husband? That fear kept me stuck in a house that no longer felt like home. So I buried myself in work. I said yes to overtime, brought home projects I didn't need to, anything to stay away from the silence and tension. To others, it looked like dedication. Inside, I was just trying not to break apart. Work became my escape, the only place where I felt in control. Then one evening, I came home, bracing for whatever mood awaited me. Anna was already standing in the living room as though she'd been waiting. She greeted me warmly, something I hadn't experienced in years. Immediately, I knew something was off. After brief small talk, she got to her point. She said she wanted a new car, not because hers had issues, but because she felt it didn't match her status anymore. She wanted a luxury model and expected me to make it happen. I listened and calmly explained that we couldn't afford it right now, that between bills, savings, and expenses, it wasn't realistic. She nodded once, said, "Okay," and walked away. But I knew her well enough to recognize that "okay" meant retaliation was coming. Sure enough, the next several days were ice cold. No conversation, no warmth, just short, clipped responses. It was her way of punishing me for saying no. Weeks later, we were invited to a milestone party hosted by mutual friends. I thought maybe the environment could lighten things up, maybe give us a chance to reconnect. But from the moment we arrived, Anna made her feelings clear without saying a word. She laughed and engaged with everyone else, but didn't so much as glance my way. She didn't introduce me to anyone, didn't stand near me, didn't acknowledge my presence. I tried speaking with her a few times, but she either ignored me or gave one-word replies. People noticed. You could tell we weren't in sync. One of her friends, a woman who had always been polite to me, seemed to be paying close attention. She kept glancing between us, clearly noticing the disconnect. When the music started, I decided to try once more. I leaned toward Anna and softly asked if she'd like to dance. She kept staring at her phone, pretending I wasn't there. I asked again. Still nothing. I stood there, embarrassed, until a friend suddenly stepped forward, took my hand gently, and said, "Dance with me. You deserve a little fun tonight." I didn't resist. We went to the dance floor, and instantly I felt the room's energy shift. I glanced back, and there was Anna, arms crossed, jaw tight, her anger written all over her face. That's when it hit me. Her silence had always been about control. And the second someone else gave me even a little attention, it broke her grip. That's what really enraged her. As we danced, her friend leaned in and spoke candidly. She told me I was too young to live this way, that Anna's treatment of me wasn't just cold. It was intentional and disrespectful. She admitted she knew this would end their friendship, but she didn't care. She said it wasn't worth saving after what she had seen. She kept talking as we danced, telling me I deserved better, that I didn't have to pretend anymore. Her words weren't judgmental. They were clear, honest. Hearing them out loud from someone on the outside made everything click. That dance gave me clarity I hadn't felt in years. I realized how much of myself I'd been losing just trying to keep peace. By the time the song ended, I knew things couldn't go back to the way they were. On the drive home, Anna unleashed her fury. She called me a cheater, accused me of humiliating her, hurled insults I won't repeat. She cursed me, cursed her friend, accused her of betrayal. I said nothing, not because I had no words, but because I knew there was no point. That wasn't just another fight. It was the moment I accepted our marriage was truly over. Her friend's words echoed in my head, as did my own friend's warning. I wasn't trapped. I just hadn't walked away yet. But I was ready now. The next morning, Anna acted like nothing happened. Asked what I wanted for breakfast. But I was done. That morning, I contacted a lawyer and began the process of ending the marriage. When the divorce papers arrived weeks later, she exploded. She screamed, cursed, accused me of cheating with her best friend, swore she'd destroy me in court. She spread lies, painted me as a heartless, unfaithful husband, trying to ruin my reputation. The divorce dragged on for months, ugly and exhausting. But I stayed calm. I knew walking away would cost me, and I was willing to lose money, property, anything, if it meant reclaiming my peace. When it was finally over, everything was divided. No one truly won, but I walked away free, and that freedom felt like the greatest relief of my life. I threw myself into work and rebuilding one step at a time. It wasn't easy, but each step forward felt lighter. Afterward, I found myself thinking back to the night everything shifted. At the time, I didn't realize how much weight those words carried, but looking back, that dance was a turning point. I reached out to her just to say thank you. She replied kindly, told me she was glad I had gotten out, that she'd seen Anna's behavior long before, but didn't think it was her place to intervene until that night. We began talking more after that, just friendly conversations, sharing thoughts, checking in. I wasn't ready for more than friendship, and after what I had been through, I wasn't sure I even believed in marriage anymore. I was careful, cautious, but what surprised me was how different she was from Anna. That genuine connection became a steady presence in my life, something I hadn't realized I desperately needed. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know this. Not every woman is like the one I married. Some bring peace instead of chaos. I don't regret leaving. I only regret staying as long as I did. If you're in something that's draining the life out of you, please hear me. It's okay to choose yourself. It's okay to walk away, no matter how long you've been in it. Thank you for listening.